In this lesson, we're going to be making the particle systems that our stun gun is going to use in order to be fired. So, I'm going to go ahead, first off, go into our character and right-click on the stun gun. And then I'm going to go down to particle system. So this will make a particle system at the location of our stun gun. It's also a child of the stun gun, so that's good. And I want to go ahead and position this just right directly in front of the barrel. So, take a look and see where this is. Pull it up a little bit. I also want to go ahead and rotate it forward, so I believe that'll just be negative, or I think positive 90 on the X. There we go. Now they are going forward. And next I want to go ahead and modify the shape of the emission. So currently it looks like this. I can either modify the values in here or out here. I'm going to go ahead and just grab one of these widgets and move that in. And do the same thing over here for this one. You go in more of a straight beam. That's pretty straight. And then I also want to change the start speed. So right here, I can either change it here, and you'll see what happens over here with the widgets. If I change the 5 to say a 10, see that goes out further. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and change it over here to be a bit faster. Remember, this is a gun shooting, so that's almost it, maybe. I don't know, I think it needs to be a good bit faster, maybe like 40. We'll just go ahead and set it over here to be 40. And that looks pretty nice. Next thing we want to do is change the simulation space to world, because that'll work better for when we're shooting. The shots will keep going in the direction they're going. Even if I turn my gun, they're not going to sort of follow my gun. They're going to go the way they were heading when they were fired. So it's important to change that there. And okay, so we have that taken care of. I also want to change the emission rate because this is a bit high of a rate. So I'm going to change it down to 5. So that'll be the rate of fire for our gun here. And in fact, I might even go ahead and increase the start speed a little bit more, up to 45. I think that'll be okay. Next thing I want to do is, of course, we need to add collision to this, so we can actually do stuff when the shots hit things. So change planes to world, and sure, it can collide with everything. All that looks fine, except for we want the lifetime loss when it collides with something to be 1. We want them to just immediately be destroyed, so that'll be good. And we do want these shots to send collision messages because we are going to need to know when they hit something. Cool, so we have all that. Now let's go ahead and also change the color of our lifetime. So this one here. So I'm going to check it so that it can be used. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on this rectangle to bring up our gradient editor. And we're going to start off by changing its start color. So that's the bottom one here at the very beginning. And I want it to be a bluish color. Something sort of like that. And I want it to fade to, I got rid of a, don't really need the, well, I do need the alpha gradients, but we'll come to that in a second. I want to affect the second color tab there, and I want to make it also a blue, maybe a little bit more of a white blue. A little bit more blue, just like that. Cool, so we have that slight gradient. Next thing I wanted to do is I'd actually want to add another tab up here, maybe just around there, and then select the last tab in the alpha tabs and reduce this down, the alpha down to 0. So it will fade out once it gets to the end of the lifetime. And it currently lasts far too long. It goes really far out. I want it to dissipate much faster. So let's also go ahead and change the start lifetime to maybe, let's say, 0.5 seconds. So now they'll go about halfway to the end of the of this thing here, this range. So that looks pretty nice. I think that'll work. It's a short-range weapon, you know. Seems fair since our enemies also have short-range weapons. And I think that'll do. I might want to move it a little bit closer to the barrel though, just like that. Okay, cool. We have that in place now. The next thing we want to do is create another particle system. So I'm going to right click here on the stun gun. I'm going to create another particle system. And, well, actually, we can do this a slightly different way. I'm going to just delete this one. What we're trying to do next is we're trying to create an effect that happens when our shots hit something. Because currently, if I go ahead and just play this, you'll see what will happen here. Currently, when I shoot the ground or shoot at anything in the environment, they just, the shots just disappear. I want there to be some sort of effect so it's hitting something, that sort of thing. So we want to make a sub emitter, and that's going to be set up here in the sub emitter module. So I'm going to check that, and we can actually go ahead and we want this to have it to create a sub emitter, so some sort of effect whenever one of these either collides or dies. Those are happening at the same time since we have the collision set up to make them die whenever they hit something. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it to the collision right here. So I just press a little plus, and it went ahead and created a sub emitter for us. So that's pretty cool. And as you can see, that's set up right in here. There's now a child of our particle system that's called sub emitter. And we can see what this effect is going to look like if we go ahead and play it. So I'm going to shoot at something, and we'll see what happens. There we go. We have all of these particle systems being created at the position of the particles when they collide. So that's pretty cool, but this isn't really the effect we want. This sub-emitter effect isn't quite right. So we're going to affect a few things here. First thing we're going to change is we're going to switch it over to world space, and we're also going to go ahead and change the emission. Currently, and this is set up differently, it's not set up by rate, it's set up by burst. So at 0, as soon as this is created, it's going to create 30 particles. We want to do it a little differently. We're going to have it create 5 particles then, and then I'm going to add another burst at 0.1 seconds, and this is going to create another 5. And then we're going to make one more burst at 0.2, and this is going to be, let's say, 10. And this is how sub-emitters are set up. They're set up using bursts and not rate. You can use bursts in your regular particle systems too, but the rate doesn't seem to work for the sub-emitters. So we have that set up. We also want to change our start lifetime. We don't want these to last as long. We want them to be very short. What we're going to be doing is actually making a little electric effect whenever these hit something. And this is like a stun gun, so it's shooting off electricity in theory. So we're going to have the start lifetime for each of these things be, let's say, 0.2. Let's start off with that. And we're not going to have this loop, and we're going to set this to be 0.5. So it's not like a very long thing. Because obviously we only have these things going up to, I want to make this one happening at 0.2 seconds. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, so there we go. We have all that. And so now let's go ahead and see how that looks so far. I'm going to go ahead and play this. So that's a little better. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to create a new material. So I'm going to go into our materials folder, right click in here, create a new material, and I'm going to call this one, I confirmed it too soon. We're going to rename it. We're going to rename it just by clicking on it twice. And there we go. And we're going to rename this one energy particle. And I'm going to change this shader from standard into the particles. I'm going to change it to additive soft because I kind of like how this one blends with the environment. Then I'm going to go ahead and select a texture for it. And it's going to be this one here, our lightning sheet. Next thing we need to do is I'm going to go ahead and go over to the sub-emitter, and we're going to change the material in the renderer. So in the material, we're going to go ahead and select that one, so the energy particle. And we're going to need to set this up as using the texture animation sheet. So check that. And it's a 2x2 texture sheet, so 2x2. There we go. And I also want to change its color over lifetime. And it's going to be going from a bluish color to a also sort of bluish color. And it's going to also fade out at the end, just like that. So including a new tab. There we go. We have all that taken care of. Now let's go ahead and see how this is looking so far. And I think that's about what we want. Let's go ahead and check out, see what this looks like when we're actually shooting at our enemy. And one little thing I'm going to change is I'm going to go ahead and change the size, make it a bit smaller. So start size, I'm going to make it go down to a 0.2. And I'm also going to take a look and see what else is going on here. See, start speed, let's just make this go to 0. So it's going to sort of stick wherever it's at. And we'll test this out one more time and see how it looks. I think maybe I'll go ahead and change the size back up to 0.5, or maybe 0.4. Okay, and I think that's good. Okay, that's it for this lesson. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.